everyone. Welcome to What the Wellness Center. I'm Kendall Hagensen. Our question today is, I have a mental health group practice and we are ready to expand to wellness services. I want to start with adding a massage therapist, but I don't know where to begin or what I need to do. Where do I even find this person? What should I consider? All the things. So that is a great question. And I have Crystal Meyer here, who is our licensed massage therapist on our team to help us out. Before we jump in, I want to thank Jane App for sponsoring today's episode of What the Wellness Center. Jane is a practice management software that loves to help you do what matters most, help people. With intuitive scheduling, online booking, charting, and billing, Jane is built with you in mind. Whether you're a small business owner or a practitioner looking to start something new, learn more at jane.app. And you'll use the code that you see on the screen at checkout and you'll get your first month free. Okay, so this question has multiple parts. So I thought it'd be helpful to also hear from an actual massage therapist who works in a wellness center. So again, this is Crystal Meyer. She's our massage therapist here at Vancouver Wellness Studio. She's been with us for 4 years now, about. She's also worked in several different types of environments and has lots of insight to share. So welcome, Crystal. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I have worked in many environments. My first massage job was in a chiropractic office. I also worked in a really high-end spa as the lead therapist there. And I've also owned my private practice. So here I am. I've been here for a while and I love it.
Well, good. So I have a few questions for you, Crystal, and hopefully we can answer all the parts of this person's question today. So first, I'm curious the things, and we can talk through this together a bit, the things that people should consider before putting up the job posting. So what are LMTs, what are massage therapists really looking for when they're looking at a job posting?
I actually put this out to the group of LMTs that I'm in network with here in the Portland metro area and Southwest Washington. And I think the thing that stood out the most was having good pay. Massage therapists are definitely underpaid in our industry, and the work that we do is invaluable. So I feel like figuring out how to pay your LMTs well will be the most important part of that, as well as understanding that each therapist works a little bit differently. So you might envision that you want them to work 20 hours a week, when in reality, they can work 15. So being able to be flexible with how much physical labor how many people they can see per day. So building that into your language around giving more sovereignty to your LMT and how they schedule themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because especially when we're coming there, a lot of people in the Facebook group are mental health counselors and have group mental health practices. And so there's a certain way that group mental health practices are run, and mental health counselors can usually see more clients in a day potentially than a massage therapist can and should be seeing. And so it's important as employers that we understand that this is physical labor, right? Massage therapists are standing all day and working with people's bodies. They're taking on and really collaborating with the energy in the room of their patients as well. And it is taxing. It's a taxing job. So that's very, very important. We look at total hours per week and then the pay as well. I appreciate you talking about that because, I think people actually don't know that, the large massage chains do not pay their massage therapists anything hardly. And it's really awful. It's really, really awful.
It's definitely what leads to burnout, and it's what leads to really high turnover.
Yeah. And for the practice owners out there, the way to be able to pay any employee more is to really look at your numbers, make sure you're covering your costs and all those things, but you might have to increase the rate that clients are paying. And so sometimes that is a difficult journey to feel like, okay, can I really increase that rate? But it allows you also to pay your providers more, which is very, very important.
Yep.
Okay, next question. So in the same vein, we were going to talk about actual numbers. So what do massage therapists expect to be paid? What's sort of the range? I mean, we know what we do here and the range we do, but I've heard as low as like some of the larger chains doing like $15 for per massage starting out, which is absolutely absurd.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that is true. I think, when I started off at the chiropractic clinic, I was paid $25 per session. And I wasn't paid for any charting time in between, and that's just not enough. So I feel like baseline 35% of your total rate that you're charging for the session should be the starting point for your LMT with room to grow. And I think, a few of the LMTs fed back to me, their hard line is 50%, whether they're an independent contractor or an employee. I think that can be definitely shifted, because when you think about, what you're paying, if you are the employer, what you're paying for linens, what you're paying for rent, what you're paying for marketing, and all of the resources, 50% can feel a little bit high. And I do think that with an independent contractor, there is room for discussion there as well. So just figuring out what, I'm sure that we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I would say, definitely higher than 15 to 20% of your total cost. And for us, where we are, I feel like the average cost of a session, a 60-minute session, is around $100 an hour.
Yeah, when factored
So
in, like we give people for a single session, it's 120, but most people are on a membership and they get a discount. So it ends up being about 100.
yeah, and I think if we were to look at Portland and some of the businesses around here, like the average cost of this area, so competitively, there are definitely some places that offer $70 an hour. There are some places that offer 130 an hour. So I think figuring out what the rate is that you're competing with in your area is important to take into consideration.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's all right in line. And I always tell, like in my coaching group, we talk about, I think the 35% is a nice like starting marker, 35 to 40%, because then it gives room to grow, and we all need room to grow. It's so important. And when we, like you said, when we look at 50% of the revenue, that's got to be kind of like where we're capping things for the most part, when we're trying to run the business. And so the way we do it here, because people will ask pretty often, like how we pay our employees, like the structure. And so we have a flat rate that we pay for practitioner sessions. So it's paid per session. And then we also pay an administrative rate for all other duties that our practitioners do here, which not everyone pays for administrative tasks. So that feels important too, to value your employees' time. Okay, so what are some legal things to consider? This is the next question I want to discuss. When we look at hiring a massage therapist, what are legal things we need to consider? Liability insurance, licensure, anything else that comes to mind there?
Yeah, ADA accessibility, making sure that, depending also on the clientele that you envision your clinic working with. And I feel like these things shift a little bit from state to state. So really getting into the nitty gritty is always important. And yeah, like you mentioned, liability insurance, and making sure that your practitioners have added your name to their, additionally insured. Licensure, making sure that the licenses are up to date. I think that's something that I really appreciate about working here, Kendall, is that one of the benefits that you give here is helping with continuing education, which I just feel is really valuable, and not every place offers that. And so that's just a way that I feel really, really cared for. Yeah, I think that covers the list from what I know.
Yeah, and it depends on the state, like you said. And so sometimes like there's a lot of rules about like, okay, they need to have a sink that is not the bathroom sink, right? They
Right.
have access to that. And I think in our state, right, if we have a marketing material, you're supposed to put your license
Yep.
number,
Your license number has to, yep.
which is different. That's not for the other modalities, that's not a rule, but for massage therapy it is. So it's just, I think the biggest lesson here is to you know, as you're looking for someone and you find people that you think are going to be a good fit, make sure you have, you know, ask them like, what else should I know about what you do and how you practice and what you need for your work. And that's how I really started is, you know, I had been a client of all these modalities we have here, but when I started hiring people or bringing people to our team, I just asked them like, what do you need? I don't know, right? What do you need to build out a massage room even, right? Which is comes to our next question actually is what furniture and supplies do massage therapists need? And sort of the upfront costs of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, obviously a massage table. A lot of LMTs have their own. I know that I came with my own, having my own practice, knowing which, tables I liked that worked for me. But if you're getting a table, I would think, to make sure that it has adjustable height, and that can be done easily, and that it's wide enough. I think there are some tables that are really small, so making sure that you have tables that fit every body.
Like the cheaper introductory tables are very narrow. So I
Yeah.
would definitely recommend staying away from those because they're also very wobbly.
Yep. Yep, definitely. And it's a worthwhile investment if you're going to get, a table that's a little bit more stationary. It can also provide a little more storage in the room. Um, Definitely, some kind of, I feel like I appreciate having like a desk or something that I can set my computer on, and, other things like I use essential oils, I do fire cupping. I think each therapist is going to, have their preferences, but really just having the framework for where they can store things. Having a closet for linens is essential.
Multiple cabinets.
Yeah, multiple cabinets. And having a comfortable seat for clients to sit on to kind of have that intake interview time. Um, and having enough space in a room for the massage therapist to move around. I think it's also dependent on the modality. There are some things like Thai massage that really require a lot of space because there's a lot of really big movement. Things like Reiki require a little less space because we're really just doing smaller, movements closer to the body. But on average, I would, say just being able to walk around the table comfortably, imagining, someone pulling a limb off the table at times, is a good way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you've worked in different rooms in our space too, and they,
Mhm.
your room you used to work in was a lot smaller, and now you have a
Yep.
larger one, and I think that probably feels quite a bit better to you.
It does. It does. And it also worked, the smaller room worked. And I think that, again, like just feeling really cared for and really listened to in this space as an employee, I had a lot of faith and, trust that, if I ever needed to adjust something or if something else became available, we could have that conversation. And so the room that I'm in now did become available, and I didn't feel any hesitation in asking for what I needed, because I feel really cared for. So just, yeah.
Yeah, and like Crystal's saying, each massage therapist is going to have, and all practitioners, right? Everyone has their own style. They have their own tools that they need. I remember a while back when you asked, hey, can we get a hydroculator?
Yeah.
sure, what is it? A lot of times we don't know what these things are, but it's actually really cool and really helpful, and it brings a lot of value to client sessions. So it's fun to learn about those things that we can add in and can be a good investment for the business and help everyone. So just really asking your providers, asking your interviewees, what they need to, there's those essential things, like what do you need to start seeing clients, right?
Yep.
And then there's those kind of extra things, like what would you love to offer, like hot stone therapy or, CBD massage or whatever it is.
Yep.
Mhm. Cool. Well,
Mm.
is there anything else you'd like to add, Crystal, that you want the viewers to know about hiring massage therapists?
I think getting clear on what kind of style you feel would work best for your team and kind of what your goals are. So for our wellness clinic here, we have a large amount of mental health therapists on our team, and we really know how to work with complex trauma. And so, I think it makes sense that the modalities that I practice, which are more rooted in craniosacral and really gentle modalities, I fit in really well with the clientele here because I'm also trauma informed. I think if you're looking for more, pain management, or, if there are other things that you're looking for, getting to know the very wide a range of modalities that massage therapists offer is really helpful. And personality always matters, and maybe there's a therapist that's going to bring a new modality that you haven't heard of, but just getting familiar, I think, with the basics of what's out there really can help.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Crystal. I think that was so helpful. There's a lot more to this conversation. It's just an introduction, but I hope it answers your question today, and helps you get started. And as a reminder, we cover all these details in the Wellness Center Creators Coaching Group, or in individual strategic coaching sessions. And you can email me anytime, Kendall@VancouverWellnessStudio.com. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.